The war took away a lot from them. Friends, brothers in arms, and even parts of themselves, but it could not take away their thirst for life.
Go, smile.
It is thanks to it that they relearn how to walk, hold a cup of coffee, play sports, and smile. Ihor Krupnov is 57 years old. He had a successful business, a happy family, and 2 daughters living in Europe. It seemed like he could start living for himself. However, after February 24th, he went to the military enlistment office without waiting for a military summons.
For formal reasons, I was suitable for service. Well, formal, that's it. But simply because of my worldview, I felt that this was the moment when I had to defend our motherland.
Ihor served on the Southern Front, first as a battalion intelligence chief, then as a deputy commander.
Today is March 21st, 2023. I have been at this position for a day. I have to stand for another day. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. The fog is quite thick. Birds are singing, it's quiet, as if there is no war.
Ihor got his first military experience back in the 1980s in Afghanistan. He says he believed in everything the Soviet propaganda told him at that time. It was only later that he realized that what he was risking his life for was just an ordinary occupation.
When I came back from Afghanistan, it was like a switch was turned off. Like, well done, guy. You came back. Now let's go on building communism, so to speak. No psychologists, no help, no anything like that.
We create such conditions that when a patient comes to us, everyone gathers around them. We hold a consultation which includes a surgeon, a traumatologist, a prosthetics, a psychological rehabilitation specialist, and a physical rehabilitation specialist. Together, they examine the patient and develop a treatment plan. Having a psychological assistance and rehabilitation service, we can provide full assistance to people regardless of the trauma they have suffered, either psychological or physical.
This is the view from my observation point. Such titmouses fly here. And such a view. Nothing boded ill for us. We came across a minefield. We were driving an off-road vehicle and 2 anti-tank mines went off at once. As a result, I lost consciousness, and for 3 days I remembered almost nothing.
The comrades who pulled them out of the burning car said it was impossible to survive such an explosion. However, a miracle happened.
Only coffee and nothing sweet? Sit here, I'll order. Hi, can I have an Americano and a double Americano, please?
That's a regular Americano and that's a double one.
Thanks.
Bon appetit.
How's your arm? How are you doing here?
No change. The leg is fine.
Today. Good.
Today.
His commander called. He asked if I was his wife. I already understood everything. I just asked if he was alive. He said he was alive and that he was already in the hospital. He has had many surgeries and it took a long time. He was on the verge of death for a long time, and that's crucial because he lost a lot of blood. The hardest part was when he refused to eat. He needed to eat to restore his tissues, but he refused. These moments of hope that he would survive and him being on the verge of death were the hardest thing. When he was told that his leg would be cut off above the knee, he refused to eat. He did not eat for several days.
For almost a year he was in the clinic. He underwent 8 surgeries and was about to give up. However, his wife, a doctor by profession, insisted on one more attempt, an innovative osteoprosthetic surgery. At that time, the orthopedic trauma surgeon from Australia, Munjed Al-Muderis, who specialized in osseointegration surgery, came to Ukraine. This is a method of prosthetics when a part of the prosthesis is implanted into the patient's bone and then an artificial foot is fitted.
He came to Ukraine realizing that right now Ukraine needs a lot of help in terms of new ways of prosthetics. Because, unfortunately, as he says, Ukraine has now become the capital, the world capital of prosthetics. Because many guys lose their limbs after being wounded. And in December there were questions about the amputation of my right leg, about the knee. And when he looked at me, at my leg, at the scans, he said that we would save the knee. And so I trusted him. And after that, there was almost no question of choosing a method of prosthetics. Because when a part of the patient's body, one joint, is saved, the patient naturally trusts the doctor.
The Australian surgeon performed the operation together with his Ukrainian colleagues. Thus, Ihor Krupnov became the first patient in Ukraine to have a prosthetic implanted in his bone. The man is convinced that this technology is the future of prosthetics.
First of all, they are lighter. Using them, I can feel the floor. I can feel the surface I am walking on. Either it's paving stones, concrete or grass. By the way, we went fishing on Friday and there was gorgeous grass. And I enjoyed the feeling of walking on it. And I can feel the softness of this grass. It's very cool, awesome.
The full-scale invasion on February 24th was a real challenge for Ukrainian doctors. However, they have coped with it. State-of-the-art rehabilitation centers with innovative equipment have appeared in Ukraine, and our scientists are developing bionic prostheses, equipped with electrical sensors that allow muscle signals to move the prosthesis so effectively.
46, 45. So now the robot will automatically adjust to the patient's parameters. This is a robot to improve or restore the walking pattern. It was created in Korea. He would try to use it for the first time with patients wearing prostheses. I hear only positive feedback from all patients who have tried this robot. So we're starting. How does it feel?
It feels good.
Is there any discomfort?
No, it's not.
Go, smile.
Volodymyr Rudkovsky is from Polisia. When the full-scale war started, he was preparing to repel the attack from Belarus together with the Territorial Defense Force units, and when it became clear there would be no attack from the north in the nearest future, he joined the armed forces of Ukraine.
We were sent to one of the most difficult areas in the Zaporizhia region, near Orikhiv. And this is, as for today, the most mined area along the entire front line. A very large-scale offensive operation was planned. This is the so-called counter-offensive that everyone was expecting. And I don't know whether it was unfortunate or fortunate. Although we don't fully understand who the weather was working for. It was raining, and that's why the operation was delayed for 3 weeks.
Finally, the weather changed and the soldiers received an order to advance. To do so, they had to cross a road that was being shelled from all sides.
And we had some success in that direction. During the first few days of the assault, there was the first success among all the brigades, specifically my company. We managed to cross a road that no one could cross, in the area of which, unfortunately, there were our dead guys, whose bodies we couldn't pick up. Thanks to the fact that we crossed the road, we made it possible to pick up the bodies of the dead. Near my ear, I heard a whistle, and a VOK grenade fell under my foot. It tore my toes and my right foot. We scattered. Each of us retreated. There were destroyed armored vehicles, tanks, both our and our predecessors, who tried to cross the road and did not. I pulled off my shirt, like in Tarantino movies, was 1.5 meters up, a blood stream. I thought, wow, cool, it's just like in the movies. Well, in life it happens as well.
Should I film your face?
What's up, brothers? Let's go. Let's go. Let's do the work. So here's your counteroffensive.
I will tie it.
I'm not the first.
1 second, that is it. Carefully.
Everybody knew where I was going. Everybody knew what I was doing there. Everybody knew why I was doing it, who I was doing it for. So when I got home and said I was in the hospital, on the other side of the phone they just said, "Thank you for being alive." I'm going to get prostheses here. I hope that it will be possible to make more than one prosthesis. My friend has a similar situation. I like it when he opens the trunk and finds several prostheses in it. He says, right now I'm going to work on this one. In the evening I work on that one, like this. I'll beat you with this one. I'll beat you with this one. I say, I'll make a wooden one for myself, so that I can come to my daughter's place in the kindergarten in the form of a pirate. Something like that.
Good, you will be discharged soon. Get well. Great, where's the bandage on your back?
On my back.
Do you know who operated on you, which team of doctors?
He knows that he was operated on by 5 surgeons and traumatologists.
I also operated on you a little bit, minimally, like this. A full-scale war has led to the fact that people, both civilians and military, began to receive very severe military injuries, which are completely different in terms of all the logistics of care for these patients, and accordingly by the type of injury, which practically does not happen in civilian life in a country that is not at war. Only a very limited number of doctors had such experience. In the developed countries of the world, such as US or UK, those who had experience experience of their country's participation in large-scale wars in Afghanistan or Iraq. And unfortunately, it turned out that these experts were able to help us. They came here. We studied together with them, and then we also had the opportunity to do internships at Oxford University and other modern foreign clinics in the United States and other countries. In order to learn how to perform such complex operations, these operations last from 12 to 15 hours, and they make it possible to save people's limbs and faces, to restore the function of many lost or damaged tissues or organs.
Our center appeared as a response to the challenges of the full-scale war. When the full-scale invasion began, we realized that Lviv would receive patients, and we started preparing for this. At that time, we already had our assistants who started coming from other countries. These were NATO doctors. They had experience working in combat hospitals with war traumas. And it was then that we realized that it was not just surgery, although of course it is surgery. It should also include prosthetics and the powerful burn department, because unfortunately in Ukraine we do not have the level of burn care that we should have. And of course this includes physical rehabilitation and, importantly, psychological rehabilitation. Our team went abroad. We went in particular to Britain. We went to one of the best rehabilitation centers for the military. Many doctors from Israel, France, the United States and Britain visited us, those who work with the war trauma, and then we formed the structure of the Unbreakable Center in our minds. It includes trauma and surgery, including reconstructive surgery and facial reconstruction. This includes prosthetics, burns, psychological rehabilitation and physical rehabilitation.
I didn't want to live under the Russian flag, under occupation. I didn't want my children, my parents, to endure it either.
When Russia started a full-scale war, 30-year-old Ilya decided to volunteer to join the army and became a tank driver. He says that the worst dream of any tank driver is to be burned alive in his own combat vehicle. However, this dream almost came true for him.
This is a horror for all tank drivers, because it's like the most powerful weapon, so to speak, on the battlefield. It is also, well, like it can become your nightmare, because it is a battlefield, a machinery. It is like different scenarios can play out, and in some of them there is nothing left of a person. There are no ashes to collect.
In early September, Ilya and his comrades were working in the Kherson region. At one point, a tank with him was blown up on mines. The men regained consciousness when everything around him was on fire. Despite burns and open fracture of his leg, he got out of the fire trap on his own.
I rode off the tank, crawled away, and my shoes were still burning. And another crew that was driving behind us, the mechanic saw me, and he shouted to his crew to take me away, that I was burning. I mean, the first machine gunner came up, and then the commander. He put the fire out on my shoes, and well, he said to me, "Get up." I got up and my legs were just holding onto the skin, the tissues, I mean.
In addition to the lost leg, doctors diagnosed 30% of his body burns. The situation could have been much worse if not for the fireproof coveralls provided by volunteers.
We had coveralls that were given to us by volunteers. They were not new. They were there from 1993. They were from, I don't remember, probably they were from the Czech Republic or the Netherlands. And at that moment, I was wearing a t-shirt on my naked body. I mean, and this coverall, because it was so hot. It was so hot that I couldn't breathe. In general, I want to, but in this respect, it saved me. Because of everything I was wearing, only my shoes were on fire.
Illia has undergone more than 20 surgeries, including facial reconstruction. Recently, Ukrainian doctors have made significant progress in facial reconstruction and burn surgery. Doctors and artists have been trying to solve this problem for a long time. The Tin Nose Shop was the name of the London hospital ward where masks were created to help soldiers hide their horrific injuries. After the First World War, French artists made papier-mâché masks for soldiers whose faces were disfigured by burns after chemical attacks. Anna Coleman Ladd was the most successful in this field. The sculptor made plaster casts of faces and then made the prostheses out of thin galvanized copper painted in the color of the skin.
Leave the trunk 20 times, 3 sets. By the way, raise your hand if you missed the boss on Friday. There will be a punishment.
I was late, but I was at regulation. And I also overslept.
When they performed my amputation, I felt like I came back to life. I don't know. It was like a burden fell off my shoulders. And I just wanted to live on. I had the strength to go in for sports, to go to the gym, I don't know, to go outside, to walk, even on crutches, even without a leg. It felt good. When I was on 2 legs, I don't know, I walked backwards and forwards for an hour. The guys were already telling me to get up and take it off, because it was enough. I have new feelings about everything, even the fact that you haven't been able to walk for almost a year. And here you can take a cup of coffee and carry it yourself. You're like, wow, let's go. And to walk up down the stairs, wow. The feeling is as if I dive into the lake after a sauna and I swim, and it's just a new feeling. It's like you're trying to do something with your leg, but it is not enough. And you have these strange, interesting sensations, and you're like, damn, that's cool. Cool.
I said, Illia, tell me when you're going to put the prosthesis on your leg. And Illia said, yes, soon, but you know, Ira, I don't really want a prosthesis anymore. I said, why? And he said, honestly, if I put a prosthesis on my leg, I will have to leave, but I don't want to leave. I feel like at home here. And I said, listen, then you don't have to leave. Let's get you a prosthesis and you will be our prosthetist. And he said, let's do it. And now we are waiting for Illia to pass the military qualification commission and quit. And after that, he will join our team. And that's a story when patients tell you that they feel at home here.
Can they come up with something like this? We have a sock like this down here, and you have one too. But you have to come up with something like this so that it doesn't rub. Does it not rub your stump?
I've already gone through the period when it did.
It's just that there was never any lot there. There is transplanted skin, it is very thin, for example. There is a stitch, a scar. Of course, the level of prosthetics in Ukraine is increasing primarily because of number of patients, because many people want to help from abroad, and they conduct various trainings, education and other things. And this all affects by itself, and we are starting to develop and work on this.
Розвиватися і працювати над тим.
Andriy Zabigailo went to the front in 2014. He served in the Luhansk region as a commander of BMP-2 combat vehicle. At night, when he went to rest with his comrades, the shelling started.
It must have been at about midnight, almost midnight. I heard a pop and felt such a stinging pain. I realized that something was wrong because I couldn't get up. And then, when I put my hand in my sleeping bag, I felt something warm and wet. And I realized that it was an injury. Well, I'll tell you this. After my leg was amputated, there was a time of great depression. I did not eat, did not drink. Later they told me that, not even to me, but to my parents, that if he doesn't start eating and drinking in a couple of days, well, we should turn off the machine with which, well, I mean, they were supporting me, my life.
Andriy was 26 when he lost his leg. He recalls that for a long time he could not accept this new condition and refused to wear prosthetics for almost a year and a half.
We always warn the guys about this. We always warn them about it will always be exactly different from their expectations. I mean, a lot of them dream of something. A lot of them have some expectations of what it will look like, so it will not look like that. But gradually, this acceptance comes. Psychologists, psychotherapists and physical therapists are working with them, and everyone is working to accept that, of course. It will not be the same as it was. But they will be absolutely functional.
The support of his fellow soldiers and his beloved wife helped him to return to normal life. Today, Andriy is a happy husband and father, volunteer and military chaplain.
So my wife and I met and got to know each other, and 3 years ago we got married, and I had this goal why I wanted to walk on prosthetics. It was to hold her hand, because when you're with crutches, it's uncomfortable for you to do that, but when you are on a prosthetics, you can hold hands.
Так, на.
Бери.
Владька, це тобі?
Це тобі.
Молочний коктейль. Це тобі.
Це тобі.
Ой, хороший, слухай. Це холодненько, вкусно.
Холодненько, да. Народиш по цьому.
Я понял.
People who have lived through the experience of war, and in this case, there are military men who have lived through this experience of combat. For them, the world will look a little different for a while after they return. For sure, this will have an impact on their lives in general. But in general, they will have to reformat their relationships. And family members will have to accept some new realities, new traumas, new limitations, and also new opportunities too.
After his injury, Andriy took sports professionally. Now, he is a candidate for the Paralympic team in sitting volleyball and has every chance to participate in the next Olympics in Paris.
Find something for yourself, something that will make you feel needed. Today I feel needed not only in my family. I do sports in order to... I have a goal to get into the Ukrainian Paralympic team. And this is my motivation to be in good shape. This is a motivation for the guys. And it's a motivation for my family. I am a father, a husband, and I do not give up. And when I go to visit the guys somewhere on the front line, I realize that they need me too. I really like volleyball. You know it. You know when you... It's a team game. When you know you feel needed. When you sit on the court, there are 6 of you. And you realize that without each other we can't do anything. And it's very cool.
Physical therapy is, in my opinion, the main aspect before prosthetics, in the process and afterwards. After all, we have to help our guys and girls recover physically. That is to make their muscles work again. Accordingly, to make it easier for them to walk or use a prosthesis, if we're talking about the upper limb. After you do this exercise, do 20 times forward, 20 times backward, 3 sets. Costa, take your time. The most difficult period is when a person enters rehabilitation without having prostheses. The emotional state plays a very important role here. A lot of guys are still in a very muffled emotional state, or absolutely negative, I mean depression. This is a post-traumatic stress disorder, and accordingly they have no such interest in classes. That is, they don't fully understand. Why do I need it? I'd rather lie in the ward, wait for my stomach to lose weight, and then they will make a prosthesis for me. So I'd like to explain why physical therapy is important. It can be difficult to explain why it is important to work on yourself, but once they start, they want to continue, and it becomes much easier. Next, it is when they receive prostheses. Many of them are afraid to take the first step. They're afraid to somehow switch to a simpler rate. They're afraid to switch from a trapezoid frame to crutches or to a single crutch. For them it's all stressful. I mean, they manage to do everything, but the main thing is this period of overcoming fear, which is difficult. But I understand that each of us has to be motivated, to convey the right message, and everything works out. Danilo, choose squat or plank.
I don't care. Plank.
Okay, but it's time too. Guys who are doing squat stand up, and we squat without pausing for exactly as long as the guys are standing in the plank, so that everything is fair. Then get ready, steady, go. Let's go. Ihor, he sat down. But keep your back straight. Bring your shoulder blades together. The most difficult thing is probably when there is a debridement, that is amputation of either the upper or lower limb, when joint is completely removed. The hardest part is not this stage, which is before prosthetics. It is the stage when the patient already has a prosthesis, because the prosthesis is attached with a special corset through a belt. Accordingly, it is necessary to teach a person to move on it, using the muscles of the lower back. And accordingly, it is much more difficult in terms of maintaining coordination, balance and movement. This process is much longer than any other level of amputation.
This is exactly the kind of surgery Yevhen Shvab underwent. The man joined the armed forces of Ukraine at the very beginning of full-scale war.
My son is growing up. He is 6 years old. If it were not for me, he might have inherited this war and would have had to fight. And I was a healthy man. Why not go? Why not? Nowadays, I am not ashamed to look children, women and grandmothers in the eyes.
At first, Yevhen went to study in the UK. From there, he was sent to one of the most hellish parts of the front line, Luhansk region. It was there that he realized the difference between theory and practice.
It was scary. The first time I was scared was when I saw my brothers die. It was scary. It was scary to be captured. I was very afraid of that. And everything was scary. But somehow, after a couple of hours, it would calm down, and this fear would disappear a little bit.
The war ended for him December 2022 when a tank shell hit Yevhen's position directly. As a result, his leg was cut by shrapnel and his pelvis was shattered. He underwent surgeries and spent several months in the intensive care unit.
The wounds healed very quickly, but I was very weak. All my muscles were atrophied, and gradually I went to group classes. I watched the guys, they were so skillful and it motivated me. And now I can easily sit down on one leg and do some exercises on the horizontal bar. I mean, I've developed physically, I've developed very well at the moment.
While at the rehabilitation center, Yevhen managed to fulfill his dream of playing on the field with the players of his favorite football team.
It was such a spark of happiness for me. I am a football fan in general, and since school I have been supporting Shakhtar. And it was a lucky thing that a delegation came to us and offered. There was a question, who loves football? I do. Who supports Shakhtar? I do. And they offered to attend the match. I didn't know that I was going to make the first kick. I thought I would just watch the match, but it wasn't. I was given a Shakhtar shirt. I put it on right way. I went out and made the first kick, and then there were such emotions. I watched on the match. I commented on it together with my idol, Darius Rana. We were sitting on top and commented on everything. I couldn't even believe it. It was like a dream for me, and the next day after that, I was offered prosthetics from Shakhtar.
He also found his love in these walls. His passion for coffee helped him.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm fine.
Fine?
Fine, can you get that for
Oh,
me?
yeah.
Thanks.
Well, it was my working day. I went outside to rest a little bit because we have a lot of people. And when I was sitting on the bench, Yevhen came up to me and scared me a little bit. Well, it was nice. He gave me a heart, a blue and yellow one. And from then on, we started to communicate with him. Little by little, little by little. He often came for coffee. I was always helping him, taking him out. Later, after work, I would stay with him and talk for a long time. Yes?
Yes, for a long time. Well, I had such kind of hints of a relationship before, but it was very scary to hear a rejection. But I did it anyway.
Yevhen plans to get a medical degree and become a military psychologist to help guys like him.
I have plans to stay working as a first contact psychotherapist. I talked about it with the head of this department. Everyone will help, everyone agrees. Because after my discharge I could go as an instructor, but that's just theory. I can't show you the practice. I will not be as useful in the army as I was before. And so I realized I will still be useful, I will still will help. I go with a psychotherapist on general terms, observe and memorize everything from the side. What I don't know, I ask them gradually.
According to the Wall Street Journal, about 50,000 Ukrainians lost limbs during the war. These figures are comparable to those of the First World War. Wounded soldiers need complex surgeries and long rehabilitation. Unfortunately, both are available in Ukraine.
Each of these tasks, each operation, each intervention, each situation, each amputation makes us stronger, it hardens us, and this is a test that life gives us. It is for a reason, for us to rise to a new level or move to a new stage of life.
My daughter, my baby.
My daughter, my baby, my son. God, I'm so happy. I mean it. Just don't give up on being strong from now on. Why do I say keep being strong? Because every soldier who went to defend Ukraine is a very strong person.
And I think that everything can be overcome. If only you could go through everything and live on and enjoy life. If only. You just have to believe in yourself.
У своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу.